Shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rachah Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. This is just various topics and, just meditate a few things, want to go into and whatever else the Spirit of Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai allows, to come up, through the Spirit, whatever the Spirit feeds me, I feed you, brothers. I wanted to deal with the situation of this brotherhood we have is, we're a family, and sometimes in a family, you're going to have beefs. You brothers know very well, you have your family, your mother, father, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, whatever you have, there's always going to be times when there's going to be some type of beef that's going to come up. In any family, it's a given. It's going to happen, and it's no different when you come into the truth. There's going to be days when everything's going to be cool and beautiful, and there's going to be days when it's going to be rough and turbulent. But at the end of the day, these are all things of growing pain. This is a part of enduring in this truth. It's going through certain situations with brothers. You're going to get into arguments. You're going to get into beef, so to speak. You're going to get into disagreements and all of that. And you know what? At the end of the day, really, it's healthy. Because it shows that there's true love there. Because when you love somebody, how they say the ones that you love are the ones that hurt you the most. Well, it is true. Matter of fact, before we get started, let me see if I can find this one precept. I believe it's in the book of 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. Just bear with me real quick. See if I can find it. All right, you know what? Let me just do it this way. Just bear with me. All right, it was 2 Corinthians 12. All right. So and then let me just write this other precept down so I don't forget. I think it's 2 Corinthians 7. All right. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter. Okay, now this is the Apostle Paul. Now the Apostle Paul and the men that he went to go and teach, these Israelite foreigners that the Apostle Paul went to go teach, he begot them through the gospel. So they, in essence, they were his spiritual children. And there were times when his spiritual children will go off and he will rebuke them and spank them. Just like when you have children and they're young children and they do certain things that are displeasing to you and things that are not right, you spank them, But why do you do that? Do you spank them just to take it out on them? Say, yeah, you motherfucker, I'm just going to kick the baby across the room and shit like the black women and Latino women do, leave the baby in shitty diapers just because you mad at the father. No, it's all done out of love. Like the scriptures say, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he shall not depart from it. And these are all part of the growing pains, is the rebuke, the admonishments, and the different things that go on in order to make that child a better, because the scriptures say when you train up a child, you do what? You grieve the enemy. Why? Because that child is going to be like yourself, and the enemy is going to know that he ain't going to be able to pull no bullshit on that child. All right. So it says, this is the Apostle Paul speaking. It says, behold, the third time I am ready to come to you, and I will not be burdensome to you. For I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. But the situation with the Apostle Paul was that he had, when he was out there teaching the ministry, in the ministry, you're going to have needs, you know. Let me just write a couple of these down. Okay. So when he went to go and teach the word, there were certain times where you know, he was in need. You know, he needed funds from the different churches to help with the mission that he was on, which was what? To preach the gospel. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you're teaching the word and somebody wants to give you financial help to help you, you know, to help build you up and help build what you're pushing, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, that's cool. You know, but the problem is with certain people is that they use that, you know, as a means to make money. And that's why Yahweh said, labor not for the meat that perishes, but for that meat which tendeth unto everlasting life. Because at the end of the day, the carnal riches, scripture say money is a defense. So we do need the money. Brothers do need money in order to be able to go to camp or do different things like that. But don't use that cloak or that liberty as a cloak of maliciousness. See, that's the difference. That's the difference between a man of the Lord and a wicked man, a hireling. They're just gonna do it for the money. But the man of the Lord is gonna do it because his whole deal, his whole mindset is to push the word. You see? So I'm just trying to get this other scripture. I believe that's, yeah, okay. Just bear with me, brothers. Like I said, I don't have anything scripted. A bunch of precepts just came to my mind. I'm trying to write them down and see if I can find them as I'm going through the lesson. Okay, beautiful. Got that one. All right. So, matter of fact, before I read on here in 2 Corinthians, let me get some of these. You know, oh man, that's nothing but Satan. That's nothing but Satan. Took my paper away. All right, that's all right. Hopefully it don't go nowhere. Yeah, Satan gonna make sure it goes somewhere. All right, hey, well, maybe it's meant for somebody. So when you teaching his word, you know, you do have necessities, you know, and then a lot of times the teachers of the Lord weren't rich men. You know, they weren't men that had riches, but then you had people out there that would actually provide goods to the apostles and different men out there that were teaching the word. And there's nothing wrong with that. This is what Yahweh Shai said, Matthew chapter 10, verse 6. I started at 5. These 12 Yahweh Shai sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, because we are not to gather all nations. It's just the nation of Israel that's to be gathered. It says, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So pretty much what is that saying? Meaning our job is to go to the Israelites and teach this word and preach this word, which is the kingdom of heaven. And that's our job. That's our job to do, right? It says, heal the sick, cleanse the leper, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely you have received, freely give. So pretty much we receive this truth freely, we give it freely. And we have no problem with that. You know, I mean, give me one time, any of you men that have been there all the way from 2007, 2008 till now, give me one time when you ever seen the apostles or elders of Great Millstone ever put up a video or anything that said, okay, if you want the rest of this video, you got to pay $15, $20, $30 for the rest of the breakdown of the book of Revelation or the book of Daniel or this mystery or that mystery. You ain't going to be able to find that, because the scriptures say, freely you have received, freely give. It says, so now when the Lord gave it the word, and the disciples back then, which they became apostles, they taught the word. And Yahweh said, provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses. Why? Because you're going to need money for this trip But the Lord told him, look, don't worry about carrying no gold or no silver or no brass, none of that. It says, nor script for your journey. So we weren't supposed to worry about any provisions, right? The men back then and the teachers now. It says, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet staffs for the workman. For the workman is worthy of his meat. So pretty much if you're out there teaching the word of the Lord sincerely and the right way, the right doctrine, there's nothing wrong with the people that you're teaching helping you. It says, and into whatsoever city or town you shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till you go thence. So pretty much you're supposed to teach the word, and whoever accepts it, they accept it. If they don't accept it, the scriptures say, cast not your pearls before swine, neither give that which is holy unto the dogs. At least they turn and rend you. Because you have some real grimy ass people among Israel out there that if you try to give them this word, they're going to try to bite you. They're going to try to beat you down. They're going to try to, put hands on you. They're going to try to kill you. So that's why I said, you have to find fruits, meet and worthy for repentance. So when you go and teach, don't worry about taking anything with you, because it's supposed to be provided to you by the people that you're teaching. It says, and when you come into a house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. And because there were certain places, the disciples and apostles back then, they were traveling on foot, on horseback, in ships, and needed lodging. They didn't have the funds to go and get, stay in hotels and none of that. So what they would do is whatever city they went to, the people that were there that believed in the word would take them and would bring them to their homes and would feed them, and let them stay there for the night or for a week or however long they were in that particular town for. Everybody in every town that they went to, there were certain people that would provide for them. They would give them, they had money, they would give them money. If their sandals were jacked up, they would give them new sandals. They would give them, garments, whatever the case it was they needed, for those journeys. That's why Yahweh says, don't provide any of these things for you, because the laborer is worthy of his meat. It says, and whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when you depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Verily I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. See, so the ones that don't believe in this truth, that don't help, if of course, if it's in your means to do it, if you don't have the means to help, then you don't have to worry about that. If you ain't got it, you ain't got it. But I mean, if people out there have the means and they believe, they're supposed to help. Just like they helped the disciples, apostles, and all of them, right? So let's go from there to the book of, I believe that's Luke 14, if I'm not mistaken. Just bear with me. All right, this is the book of Luke 14 and 25. And there went great multitudes with him, and he turned and said unto them, If any man come to me and hate not his father and mother and wife and children and brethren and sister, yea, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. So there are certain sacrifices that you're going to have to make for this truth. But just because you're not the brother that loses his family or his woman or his children doesn't mean that you're less significant than a brother that does, because there's something else that you're going to have to deal with that brother that lost his family may not have to deal with, that he may not be able to deal with. The Lord said he's not going to put on a man more than that man can bear. It says, and whosoever doth bear his cross and come after me, and whosoever doth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple. So there's going to be certain situations you're faced with that you're going to have to make a decision. We've all done it and we still do, that you're going to have to say, well, you know what, this is getting in the way of the truth, so I got to cut that off. Otherwise, the Lord is going to deal with me. It says, for which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? Right, you're not going to go and build a house or build a building or build anything or do anything unless you know you have enough money to pay for it. You're not going to go to the mechanic and say, you know, I need a transmission job, you know, and you know the transmission job is going to be like $2,500, and all you got is $50 or $100. You ain't going to go and tell them, yeah, just do the work, because you ain't going to be able to pay them. You ain't going to try to build anything unless you know you have enough substance and money to be able to finish it. Well, that's the same thing with this truth. You know, when you come into this truth, you have to count the cost. You have to count and sit there and figure out, you know, in your spirit, if you have enough, or if you have what it takes to be able to walk this path. Because this path, you know, the truth is easy, but the path is long and hard at times, you know. So you have to come to into yourself, into your mind, and be resolved to say, you know what, no matter what, I'm going to follow the Lord. I'm going to dedicate my life to this truth. And whatever I have to deal with, I'll pray to the Lord to give me the strength to deal with it, and I'll just deal with it, you know. And then if I come into this truth, I know I'm at risk of losing my wife. I love my wife to death. I love my children to death, but I know that I'm at risk of losing them. I'm at risk of losing my job. I'm at risk of this. I'm at risk of that. You know, and then you have to within yourself say if you can actually deal with that, you know. So that's part of counting the cost. It says, least happily after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him. And you're going to get mocked. You're going to be laughed at, you know. And who you think is going to do that? It's going to be other men that are still laboring, you know, because that's the Lord through those men mocking you. It says, because when Elijah told, when he went against those 400, I believe it was 450 men of Baal, right? What did he do? He didn't just tell them, all right, go ahead and build your altar and do what you got to do, you know, and this, that, and the other, and that was it. No. When they were screaming and crying and cutting themselves and, you know, and praying to their God to bring fire on their sacrifice, Elijah was mocking them. He said, what's up, man? Where your God at? Cry a little louder. It might be that he's sleeping, or maybe he's on a long vacation, you know, or maybe he can't hear you. You know, he was mocking them. Well, that's the same thing with this truth. You have men that's going to come into this thing, that's going to fall out, that's going to be mocked. That's going to be laughed to scorn through the men of the Lord, because this is how the Lord does things, man. You know, our thoughts are not the Most High's thoughts, and our ways are not his ways. All right, it says, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to make war against another king sitteth not down first and counteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an embassage and desireth condition of peace. So likewise, whosoever he be of you that forsaketh not all that he hath, he cannot be my disciple. See, so you have to be resolved in your mind that you're going to, if I lose everything I have, including our lives, then that's a part of the cost that's going to cost that particular individual. You see, there was another one. Let me see if I can find that precept real quick, so I could just bear with me. Let's see. Damn. Nope, that's not it. Just bear with me, brother Salaka. Trying to find this one precept, and I guess I can't really get the actual wording. I believe there's a scripture that said, "Who goeth to war at his own expense," or something along those lines. I just can't think of the wording. I thought it was in Luke 14. All right. So then what? Let me just go to Corinthians 9. See if it might be there. Hey, this is like an impromptu, so it's gonna be that way sometimes. All right. Yeah, that's what I was looking at, Luke 14, but it's in the same chapter, a little further down. All right, let me go back. I thought it was in Luke 14. I guess I didn't read down far enough. Yeah, and I read down to the 33rd verse. Nah, that wasn't it, bro. The water 31. Let me see. Yeah, no, that's good. That's what I was thinking. But it's scripture say, "Who goeth to war um, at his own expense," something like that. Let me see if I can find it. Salaki, brothers. Here we go. Here we go. This is 1 Corinthians 9 and 6. Who go? I'm sorry. I started at 6. Or I only. Damn. It says verse 5. Have we not power to lead about a sister, a wife, as well as other apostles, and as the brethren of the Lord and Cephas? Or I only and Barnabas have not we power to forbear working? Who goeth a warfare any time at his own charges? See? No, it's cool, bro. It's cool. You was trying to help me out, the water. But I guess I mentioned that verse, but this is the verse I was looking for. But I always thought it was in Luke 14. But this is it. Who goeth a warfare any time at his own charges? Because as we read on down in the same chapter, the Apostle Paul said, "No, I'm teaching the word. The dispensation of the gospel is committed to me." He said, but a necessity is laid upon me. Why? Because it takes money to, back then you had to take ships or horses. It takes money. If you don't own a horse, to rent a horse was expensive. To take a ship, all that money, all that cost. Then when you get to a certain place, if there's nobody to put you up, guess what? You got to get a hotel. You got to eat. So there's you got to take showers and all of that stuff. So all of that stuff adds up. So the Apostle Paul saying, "Who goeth a warfare any time at his own charges?" So Yahushua sent the disciples to teach the word, and what happened? He said, "Don't provide script, don't provide in your purse silver, gold, brass, none of that." Why? Because a laborer is worthy of his meat, and wherever you went, the people were supposed to take care of you. It says, "Who goeth a warfare any time at his own charges? Who planted the vineyard and eateth not of the fruit thereof? Or who feedeth a flock and eateth not of the milk of the flock?" Let me just jump down to the main point. Right here. Verse 16. "For though I preach the gospel, I have nothing to glory of. Necessity is laid upon me. Yea, woe is unto me if I preach not the gospel." So pretty much, you have to, you're going to have necessity when you go on to teach this word. And that's just the point that we came up to dealing here in the book of 2 Corinthians, the 12th chapter. And what was that? And the 14th verse, it says, "Behold, the third time I am ready to come to you, and I will not be burdensome to you." Why? Because the church of Corinth had problems giving the Apostle Paul money, and the Apostle Paul wasn't trying to use them as his personal bank account, but he was going and teaching the word, and he needed money. And he said, "Look, I built you guys up." In Corinthians 9, it says, "If we have sown to you spiritual thing, is it a small thing if we reap your carnal?" Because they had a problem with giving them money. So pretty much money is a part of this, But some men, you know, you have like Nate and Gehenna and others, your Bubble Eye Blackfish, they use that power wickedly, you know. But that's not the topic of this video. But the Spirit got me saying that. It says, "Behold, the third time I am ready to come to you, and I will not be burdensome to you, for I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children." And this is the part that I want to get to about the growing pains and problems you're going to have with your family. You know, you're going to have different situations that's going to happen within your camp, you know, that you're going to have to deal with. You know, certain men they're going to be at odds with each other, you know, and you know, in the hopes of restoring the balance, you know, you have councils, you know, you have a meeting or council, or you pull brothers aside to see if they can work these matters out. It says, "And I will very gladly spend and be spent for you, though the more abundantly I love you, the less I be loved." And this is the point, you know, the more abundantly I love you, the less I be loved, you know, because the Apostle Paul was hard, you know, he would because the Spirit of the Lord that was on him was a spirit to rebuke, you know, and exhort, and not just to rebuke, but to rebuke sharply, you know, in the hopes that the men that he taught would walk in the right path and not go astray. All right, let's go from there. Let's go from there to the book of I believe it's 2 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. And okay, good. Second Corinthians 7, and okay, I'm gonna start at 5. First, Second Corinthians 7 and 5. "For when we were come into Macedonia, our flesh had no rest, but we were troubled on every side. Without were fightings, within were fears. Nevertheless, the Most High that comforteth those that are cast down, comforted us by the coming of Titus." Why? Because they were in perils, they were in necessity. You know, Apostle Paul said there was time when they went hungry. You know, there was times when they barely had clothes to wear. You know, and there was nights when they were cold. They were shipwrecked and it was cold. You out there in a ship in the seas, man, it gets cold as fuck out there. You know, so he was in a lot of different situations, and the church of Macedonia actually comforted Paul by sending Titus and sending certain goods with Titus. It says, "And not by his coming only, but by the consolation wherewith he was comforted in you, when he told us your earnest desire, your mourning, your fervent mind toward me, so that I rejoiced the more." Why? Because the Apostle Paul had to curse them out because they didn't want to help him out. You know, in that case, you know, monetarily and whatever else the Apostle Paul needed. So he was cursing them out, you know, and they were feeling fucked up. You know, and then when Titus came to him, because the Apostle Paul, you know, his thing was he would deal with the situations he was dealing with, but also in the back of his mind, or in his mind, in the front of his mind, he had the concern of all the different churches and the men that he taught. Like, what are they doing now? Are they okay? You know, is everything running perfect? You know, is there anything amiss? You know, is there anything that's going? You know, and then he couldn't be in 10 different places at one time. That's why he would send Timothy and Titus and Luke and different men to go and check on those churches back then. You know, "For though I made you sorry with a letter, I do not repent." See, because the letter he wrote, he was getting on them so hard that they felt. And he said, "I'm sorry that I did that, but then again, I'm not sorry." And he's going to explain why. And the thing about it was when Titus came to him, he gave him the tidings of the Corinthians and how, you know, they were, you know, they were giving Paul these comforting words. So they consoled Paul's spirit through the words that they spoke through Titus. All right, no, so you can understand. For though I made you sorry with a letter, I do not repent, though I did repent. Why? Because he felt bad that he had to do it, but he knew it was necessary to do that. Right? It says, for I perceive that you, Salakia. Let me read it again. For though I made you sorry with a letter, I do not repent, though I did repent. For I perceive that the same epistle hath made you sorry, though it were but for a season. Because if you're a man of wisdom and a man corrects you or rebukes you, at first you're going to get emotional, but then you're going to, if the spirit of reason is with you and this Holy Spirit is with you, you're going to sit down and reason and say, well, you know what this man's saying is right. And he's just doing it for my benefit. So in turn, you're going to turn from that emotional or that emotion of being angry to the emotion of loving this man, because like, damn, this man really cares about me. You know, it says, now I rejoice. And it says that they were made sorry, though it were for a season, because after a while that anger and that emotional spirit that have on you is going to eventually quell. It's going to eventually go away, and it's going to remove that cloud from your mind, and it's going to allow you to be able to look at the bigger picture and look at the intention of this man that's getting on you. You see, it says, now I rejoice, not that you were made sorry, but that you sorrowed to repentance. And that's the point. Yeah, it made you feel bad. You got emotional. You got you got what's the word I'm looking for? You got there's a word for it. I mean, emotional is good, but there's another word, but I can't think of it right now. But basically, you got emotional, but that emotional that sorrow that you felt turned to repentance. It's like, damn, man, yeah, I was fucking up. You know, so now let me turn around and do the right thing. Right? That's what the scriptures say. Rebuke a wise man and he will love thee. And if you rebuke a wise man, he will become even wiser. It says, but that you sorrowed to repentance, for you were made sorry after a godly manner. Why? Because the things that Paul will rebuke you on was things of that you were going off in the scriptures on. There was things that they were doing that the Apostle Paul was getting on them to make them come back to their senses. It says that you might receive damage by us in nothing. For godly sorrow worketh repentance to salvation, not to be repented of, but the sorrow of the world worketh death. See? For behold, the self same thing that you sorrowed after a godly sort, that care, it says, Salaki, I'm a little excited, I guess. For behold, this self same thing that you sorrowed after a godly sort, what carefulness it wrought in you. So now when you got rebuked and you came and you finally figured out that, damn, I was wrong, it says what carefulness it wrought in you. Because now you're going to walk more carefully. You're not going to be as careless as you were before. It says, yea, what clearing of yourselves, you know, because you said you were going off, but now you're set back on the right path. Because the scriptures speak about a man. If a man's going off, you know, you're supposed to correct him, and you're supposed to bring him back, you know, from the snares of the devil. And when you do that, that covers up a multitude of iniquities, a multitude of sins. When you have a man that's going down the wrong path and you turn him back around from that path, you know, in the eyes of the Most High, that's of great weight. It says, yea, what indignation, which is righteous anger. Yea, what fear. See, because a lot of guys don't have the fear of the Lord Yahweh Bashai. They just do whatever the hell they want to do. But if you have that fear of Yahweh Bashai, you're going to try to walk gingerly. When you do lessons or you teach, you want to make sure that what you teach is what the scriptures are saying and that you're not going off on stuff. You see, that's part of the fear of the Lord, that you don't want to teach or give the wrong impression, you know, or teach the wrong thing, or give the wrong breakdown, or give the wrong doctrine, or just say, okay, that's cool, bro, just to make everything peace, you know, like those different unity camps. They don't want to get on each other. So instead of getting on each other, they all just accept each other's doctrine, you know, and all them doctrines are clashing with each other just for the sake of unity. Well, guess what? That's chaos, and it's not unity. It says, yea, what vehement desire. Desire for what? To want to do the right thing and to continue on in the work. Yea, what zeal. Yea, what revenge. In all things you have approved yourself to be clear in this matter. Wherefore, though I wrote unto you, I did it not for his cause that had done the wrong, nor for his cause that suffered wrong, but that our care for you in the sight of the Most High might appear unto you. You know, trying to think of that word, man. That thing is bothering me. I believe it's in here in the same chapter too. Man, that's nothing but Satan, man. Offended, that's the word, offended. You know, sometimes you might get offended, you know, but then when you get past that offended stage, then you start to realize that this is for your benefit. Offended, that's the word. Damn. It says, therefore we were comforted in your comfort, yea, and exceedingly the more joyed we for the joy of Titus, because his spirit was refreshed by you all. For if I have boasted anything to him of you, I am not ashamed, but as we spake all things to you in truth, even so our boasting which I made before Titus is found a truth. And his inward affection is more abundant toward you, whilst he remembereth the obedience of you all, how with fear and trembling you received him. See, so they received him with fear and trembling because they perceived him to be a man of the Lord. You know, so they gave him that reverence, you know, as a man that's bringing the message of the Most High, you know, and that's part of the fear too. You know, when the prophets came to town, you know, people would get nervous. Are you coming for peace, or are you coming for war? Because they didn't know if the prophet was going to give a message of good or a message of destruction, you know, and that's the fear and the reverence that they had towards these men, you know, and we're to have those same that same reverence also, you know. I rejoice therefore that I have confidence in you in all things, you know. So I want to go from there to the book, because you know, like I said, we're being in this truth, you know, you're gonna get emotional, you're gonna get offended at certain things, you know, but when you get past those emotions, reasoning in the spirit of Yahweh Bashem El Shai Bashem Rakakodash should, if you're in the spirit, it should bring you back to, nah, you know what, I see what's really happening. This is happening because of this, that's happening because of that, you know, and it's all for the furtherance of the gospel. And as I stated earlier, that we're a family. So sometimes in family, you're going to have quarrels, you're going to have fights, you know, and that's going to happen. You know, you can't avoid that. As long as different spirits, you know, are all together, you know, and as long as we're in this corruptible flesh, there's going to be disagreements. There's going to be arguments, you know, but that's all good because that brings us closer. You know, just like these people, when they come against us and they open us up to another vein of new watchers or a new audience, they thinking that that's making us weaker, but it's really making us stronger. You know, because we're learning about this and we're learning about that. You know, and you're learning how to come at this particular doctrine and that particular doctrine. You know, and it is opening up the door for them people out there that may be a part of the elect in that realm, and they'll get sealed. So these devils that are thinking they're doing damage, by doing that, they're actually helping further the gospel. You know, it's heavy. So it's making us stronger. So when there's brothers that's going at each other or have a quarrel, you know, that actually makes the bond tighter. You know, because when family, you know, what happens once you, I mean, and I'm not talking about grimy ass families, you know, cutthroats. I'm talking about in a decent family. You know, once you have certain disagreements, once everything is patched up, it makes a family unity or union stronger and tighter. You know, it makes that bond tighter. You know, and this is why certain things happen. So let's go from there to Mark, the book of Mark, the ninth chapter. It's funny because that was a scripture, one of the scriptures I was supposed to start off with, but the Spirit had me go in a different direction. But it's all for edification. This is Mark chapter 9, verse 33. It says, and he came to Capernaum, and being in the house, he asked them, what was it that you disputed among yourselves by the way? So they were arguing. So these are the disciples of Yahushua that were arguing with each other. It says, but they held their peace, for by the way they had disputed among themselves who should be the greatest. So this was an argument that they were having, you know, back and forth. But then when Yahushua asked them, they wouldn't tell him. But Yahushua already knew what the deal was. And he said, and he sat down and called the 12 and saith unto him, if any man desire to be the first, the same shall be last of all and servant of all. So pretty much, you know, the Yahushua was giving them the breakdown of, if you want to be first, you really got to be last. You got to be the servant of your brother, you know. But the reason why I went to this particular scripture was not as a thing of ranking system and all that. The thing is, the Spirit had me go to this precept because this precept shows you that even the disciples had disagreements among themselves and arguments among themselves, you know. The next scripture we're going to go to is the book of Galatians. You know, this is another example of men of the Lord that had disputes, that had disagreements, you know. But it's beautiful because it made the bond tighter, you know, because afterwards they got the love of their brother back, you know. And that's the thing. The thing is, if you have an argument just to be a nigger, just to be a low life, you know, just to be what's the word I'm looking for? A grimy individual, you know, just to cause dissension, then you're a demon, you know. But if you have an argument because you sincerely have a quarrel with this brother, all right, well, let's work it out. What can we do to this situation? And let's bring the bond of the brotherhood tighter together. You know, that's what disagreements are about. That's what arguments are about. That's what disputes are about. You know, this is the book of Galatians chapter 2 and verse 11. But when Peter was come to Antioch, I withstood him because he was to be blamed. So the apostle Paul, this is another situation where there was an argument of men in the Lord, because one man, which was Peter, which was the head, was being a hypocrite. Salaki, brothers. And the apostle Paul, who was set up to the ministry of the Israelite foreigners, he knew the ins and outs of how to be among and deal with the Israelite foreigners. But the apostle Peter was being a hypocrite dealing with that situation. So what did Paul do? He withstood him to the face. So they were pretty much arguing. You know, it says, for before that certain came from James, he did eat with the Gentiles, but when they were come, he withdrew and separated himself, fearing them which were of the circumcision. You know, because he feared what they would say of him. You know, say, man, what the hell is wrong with you, Peter? You know, you're supposed to be a Galilean. You know, you're supposed to be a Jew, and you eating with these uncircumcised heathens, you know, which were Israelites, you know. So he was fearing what they were saying. So Paul was pretty much cursing them out. So this is a dispute between two men of the Lord, you know, that were at odds at the moment, you know. But it was necessary just to bring back Peter from that hypocritical state. All right. It says, and the other Jews dissembled likewise with him, insomuch that Barnabas also was carried away with their dissimulation. So all this stuff that was going on, You had other men that got caught up into it. You even had Barnabas, a great man of the Lord, that got caught up into that whole situation. He got swayed by that, you know, because at that moment, you know, they were being hypocrites. They got simple. But it took the Apostle Paul to come and rectify and set the situation aright, you know. So that was a quarrel between the men of the Lord. That didn't mean that they were enemies, you know. But that meant that there was something wrong and it had to be rectified. All right, the next scripture is in the book of Acts, the 15th chapter, and the 35th verse. It says, Paul also and Barnabas continued in Antioch, teaching and preaching the word of the Lord with many others also. And some days after, Paul said unto Barnabas, let us go again and visit our brethren in every city where we have preached the word of the Lord, and see how they do. So this is Paul once again with Barnabas, and they're sitting down and say, you know what, we did all these great works, we built all these men up. You know, you got these different churches out there, you know, then they're preaching the word and they're teaching about the Messiah, Yahweh Shai. They're out there preaching them. So now let's go and let's do another, let's circle around and go to all them different churches and visit them to see how they're doing, see how they're holding up, right? It says, and Barnabas determined to take with them John, whose surname was Mark. Now, Barnabas was determined. His mind was dead set on taking this man Mark with them to do the work. He was determined. He wasn't like saying, okay, wait, we should. He didn't suggest to the Apostle Paul, look, we should take Mark with us. He was determined. His mind was already made up. He was dead set on taking this man with him, right? It says, but Paul thought not good to take him with them, who departed from them from Pamphylia and went not with them to the work. So this man didn't finish the work with them the first time. So Paul's like, nah. He left us hanging in Pamphylia. And Barnabas was like, nah, man, we're gonna take him with us. He's gonna come with us, and we're gonna, you know, and that's that. And the apostle Paul said, no, we're gonna take him with us. You know, he went off. He didn't finish the work. You know, he left us to hang out there dry. So they were going back and forth arguing, right? It says, and the contention was so sharp between them. So you could imagine the words was flying back and forth. The emotions were flying back and forth. You know, their voices were lifted up. They were both cursing each other out. You know, all over this man that Barnabas was dead set on taking with him, and the apostle Paul said, no, we ain't taking him with us. I don't care what you say, Barnabas. He ain't coming with us. I don't care what you say, Paul. He gonna come with us. You know, so they were going back and forth at each other's throats, right? And the contention was so sharp between them that, matter of fact, I looked up that word contention. Let me look it up again. Let's see, what was it? The word, okay. Let me go back. Just bear with me. Contention. In the book of Acts. It's paraxusmos. It says incitement to good, or dispute and anger. Contention provoke unto. So they were pretty much arguing. They were arguing like two enemies. They were probably both speaking at the top of their lungs, cursing each other out about this individual, Mark. You know? It says, and the contention was so sharp between them that they departed asunder, one from the other. And so Barnabas took Mark and sailed unto Cyprus, and Paul chose Silas and departed, being recommended by the brethren unto the grace of the Most High. And he went through Syria and Cilicia, confirming the churches. Now I was reading this earlier, and when I was reading it, the Spirit hit me that the Most High himself made Barnabas' mind to be dead set on taking this man Mark with him, so that this split could happen between him and Paul. Why? Because they were both mighty men in the scriptures, and they both were together, you know, and they were able to reach many people, and they were reaching many people. But the thing about it is, the Lord wanted the Apostle Paul to go one way, and he wanted Barnabas to go the other way, so that both of them men can teach and use those gifts that the Lord gave them, you know, and not have to be up under each other. Sometimes that happens. I remember the Apostle Tahar years ago. He said at the main school at One West, he said you used to have in one camp, you used to have like 50 generals. They were all generals. It was about 50 of them in one camp, and they were all fighting for time to speak. Instead of sitting there and rationalizing in their mind, say, you know what? Why don't we open up another camp? That would be, you know, we could have another camp, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 camps, where it would be maybe 2 or 3 generals in one camp, and we wouldn't have to fight for time to speak, you know, each other. You see? Because the Apostle Paul was beneficial for the work. The Apostle Barnabas was beneficial for the work. You see? So the Lord caused that contention to happen so that Barnabas could go and push the word, and Paul can push the word. And sometimes that happens, you know. Sometimes that happens so that the Lord can use those men to build up other men. Because what could Paul really teach Barnabas, and Barnabas teach Paul, that they didn't already know? They really couldn't teach each other anything, you know. So the Lord caused that, you know, because I was meditating on this, because it said that Barnabas was determined. He didn't come to Paul and say, well, you know what, Paul, I think, you know, I mean, I know that this man didn't finish with us, but I mean, I think we should bring him with us, you know. And Paul said, nah, because he didn't, you know. He said, yeah, bring him with us, you know. It wasn't that. It was, he was determined in his mind to bring this man Mark with them. And when the Apostle Paul strongly disagreed, what happened? The Lord caused him to go their separate ways. But that didn't mean that Paul was off or Barnabas was off, because they're both men in the Lord. But the Lord mostly focused on the Apostle Paul in these letters that are written here in the scriptures. Now, Barnabas, it doesn't really go into the history of what he did, but in the kingdom, we're going to find out that he did many great works also, you know, and he went and taught the word, and I'm sure he built up men and other, you know. So sometimes that's going to happen. So in a family, you're going to have those arguments, you know, but hey, that's just how it is, you know. So that was, let me read, that was it on that. And let's go to Matthew 18 and 15. You know, you're gonna have that. You're going to have that. All right, Matthew chapter 18, verse 15. It says, and that's the case. Like, you know, we tell brothers, some brothers, you know, we've known of situations where you have different brothers in different state camps that just couldn't stand each other. You know, didn't mean that one brother was wicked and the other one was righteous. It just their spirits just couldn't mesh, so they had to go their separate ways. And I'm sure that there's in different camps there might be brothers that don't get along. Hey, well, if you both have the word, and if you both know the truth, and you both are teachers, then you go your separate ways. One brother go over here, another brother go over there, and teach the word. You know, but the unity of the brotherhood is still peace. You know, if you see the brother, hey, shalom, brother, how you doing? You know, there's no hard feelings. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, this is Matthew 18 and 15. It says, moreover, if that, and this is what the disciples are doing. They were fighting against each other, and what Yahushua came in and brought the balance. The Apostle Paul had a beef with Peter. He stepped to him. The Apostle Paul had a beef with Barnabas. He stepped to him. Matthew 18:15. Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone. If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. See? So that's the thing. If a brother does something to you, you got to go to him yourself. You know, you can't really go to another man and tell that man about it, because really you should tell the man that did the offense to you. You know, because the man that did the offense to you, he may not even know he did an offense to you. You know, he may be oblivious to that. You know, and if he does know and he's willingly, you know, just the hell with that dude, then he's being wicked. but maybe the man may not know, you know. So you go, hey brother, you know, I really didn't like the way this went down and that went down, blah blah blah, you know. And then if he's, oh shit, brother, I'm sorry, man, I didn't realize, you know, hey, so you know, hey, you know, and then everything is peace, and you gain your brother, and that's beautiful, you know. It says, but if he will not hear thee, then take with thee one or two more, that in the mouth of two or three witnesses every word may be established. Because this point he's saying, nah, I ain't do nothing to you, and you're saying, nah, you did do something to me. So he don't want to listen to you. So that's when you bring in witnesses, you know, to witness what's going on, right? It says, and if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it to unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as an heathen man and a publican. And that's why it's important that if you have a quarrel, you should have counsels. Scripture said that in to the councils there's a peace, you know, and don't do like they did at the House of David and One West, having them long ass councils. A council shouldn't take too long, man. Just air out what you got to air out, and that's it. You know, just air out all that musty, bad air. You know, so everything could be clear, the air could be fresh, and you can move on. Because at the end of the day, it's about teaching the word. You know. So let's move on from there to Galatians 5:13. No, because what happens is if a brother did you something, if he did something to you, if he offended you, and you don't talk to that man, what's going to happen is you're going to get that anger and that emotion is going to continue to grow in you, and you're going to continue to get more and more upset and more angry at this man. And meanwhile, the brother may not even know he did anything to you. Before you know it, you're in a rage with this brother, and you never even really stepped to him and told him that he did something wrong to you. You know, you have to do that to clear that. You know, and that's a part of this brotherhood. You know, brothers think that this truth is just about learning the Bible and going out there cursing the white man out, cursing the black woman out, the Latino woman. You know, and that's pretty much it. There's a lot of aspects to this truth, man. You know, there's a lot of things that dynamics of this truth, you know, that make the truth what it is, you know, and there's many different levels to it, you know, and you have to be able to go through each level. You have to make sure that everything is running like a well-oiled machine, you know, and it takes time, you know, and you're going to go through your bumps and your bruises, you know, you're going to go through your ups and your downs, you know, but at the end of the day, it's going to make you a better man. It's going to make you a tighter bond, unity with your brothers, you know, and that's in the eyes of the Lord, that's a precious thing, because the second greatest commandment, besides loving the Lord with all our heart, mind, and soul, is to love our brothers as ourselves, you know. This is Galatians 5:13. Because if not, what's going to happen is, you know, you're going to be mad at the brother, or y'all going to be mad, you know, whatever the case is, and it's going to be going back and forth. And before you know it, you're going to turn into Reservoir Dogs. And that's not good. When it's just as simple as just talking to your brother. You know, now if he just, you know, if he doesn't want to hear you, then that's when you go through the proper channels, as we just went through in Matthew 18. This is Galatians 5:13. For brethren, you have been called unto liberty. Only use not your liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. And that's clear. But if you bite and devour one another, take heed that you be not consumed one of another. See, because brothers, I'm gonna tell you like this. I don't know if they went up there and told y'all, brothers, but the brotherhood, you know, besides Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the brotherhood, that's all we have, man. You know, nothing else in this world is guaranteed, but Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, his words, and the brotherhood. You know, that's why those are the two greatest commandments. You know, because your woman is not guaranteed, your children are not guaranteed, your mother, father, you know, friends, you know, uncles, aunts, siblings, kin, you know, anything in this world, none of that is sure. But one thing that is sure is Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, this word, and the brotherhood. You know, that's why it speaks about how to conduct yourself among the brothers. You know, it says, unless you bite and devour one another, take heed that you be not consumed one of another. you know. And I got Galatians 6:1. It says, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Another thing too, if you see a brother going off, don't just stand off and he's going off. That ain't me. You know, you got to say something. Because if not, what if that demon jumps on you and you start doing the shit that he's doing? If you going off, wouldn't you want somebody to correct you and tell you that you're going off if you can't see it yourself? So if you see a brother that's going off and you don't say nothing, consider yourself, because that could be you next. You could be the next one that demon will jump on and make you do shit that's off. And it might be a guy that be like, you know, they know what you did to, you know, even though a scripture say render not evil for evil, you know, but you will want somebody to tell you if you're doing something off or if you're going off, you know, if you forget to do something or whatever the case is, you know, don't just be out there for dolo. I mean, the scriptures say work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, but at the end of the day, we are brothers keepers. You know, if you see a brother going off doing something wrong, you say something. You don't just sweep it under the rug. Hey, another thing Apostle Tar said that back in the days at One West, there was a lot of stuff that was swept under the rug. You know? It's better to address things, man, and address the elephant that's in the room, you know, instead of letting the elephant get fatter and fatter, and because eventually what's going to happen, the elephant's going to get so fat, he's going to consume the whole room. Ain't going to be room for anything else but that elephant. So things have to be, it has to be addressed. So don't see your brother going off and then you don't say nothing, you know, because the Lord could deal with you. You be the next one in line. I'll read it again. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such a one in the spirit of meekness. It says, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted, you know. Now, yeah, the brother KDC put a scripture up, 2 John 1:6, and this is love, that we walk after his commandments. This is the commandment, that as you have heard from the beginning, you shall walk in it. 1 John 5:2, by this we know that we love the children of the Most High. We love the Most, when we love the Most High and keep his commandments. That's right. For this is the love of the Most High. Yeah, he just, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. That's right. His commandments are not grievous. And I know brother's been putting a lot of precepts up, but I'm just, you know, just had a few precepts I wanted to go into, and the Spirit brought others. But I mean, with that, I think that's a good point to end it at. But just remember that, man, if you see your brother doing something off, you know, if you see your brother, you at the camp, and you see your brother don't put his garment on, don't let the man go through the whole camp without his garment on. Tell him, hey, bro, put your garment on. You know, it's kind of fucked up. You sitting there, you see that the brother don't have his garment on, but you just not saying nothing. And then later on, say, yeah, I noticed that you didn't have your garment. So why you ain't say nothing if you noticed that I didn't have my garment on? Why didn't you say something? Why you let me go through the whole camp without my garment on? You know, then the rest of the day or week or whatever, the man's feeling messed up because, you know, you're thinking about the scriptures. Hey, friend, where's your garment at? You know, when that could be avoided, man. Stop being selfish, man. Brothers out there, stop being selfish. If you in that spirit, stop being selfish, man. And with that, you know, I say shalom. I hope you brothers have been edified.